Cold does not kill from above, it kills from below, not with roaring storms or cinematic blizzards, quietly, patiently, starting from the frozen ground beneath your feet. And more than 1,000 years ago, the Vikings understood this when almost no one else did. They beat winter not with endless firewood or massive hearths. They beat it with a hidden engineering system buried beneath every longhouse floor. A system so effective that modern homes still struggle to match it. This is the story of what they built underfoot, why it worked, and why we stopped doing it. The threat nobody talks about. When we talk about insulation today, we talk about roofs packed with fiberglass, walls stuffed with foam, windows sealed against drafts. We obsess over the parts of the house we can see. But physics tells a different story. In cold climates, as much as 70% of heat loss does not come from the roof or walls, it comes from the ground. Modern concrete slabs and tiled surfaces are perfect cold sinks. They collect moisture, hold winter chill, and drain heat from the body every time someone stands or sleeps on them. The Vikings lived with the consequences of getting this wrong. Sleeping on damp earth meant waking up weaker every morning. Sick children, exhausted adults, settlements that could not survive long winters, so they aimed at the root of the problem and attacked the ground itself. The system they built. The Viking longhouse floor was not a single material. It was a layered system, each component solving a specific problem. It started with elevation. A Viking longhouse never sat directly on frozen ground. The floor was raised 10 to 40 centimeters above the soil, just enough to sever the conductive bridge between earth and living space. When you break that contact, even by a hand's width, cold can no longer travel directly into the structure, and capillary moisture is cut off entirely. Below the floor came gravel. Loose, porous, naturally draining. Gravel allowed moisture to escape downward rather than seep upward. On top came a leveling layer of sand, stable and effective at distributing heat without trapping water. Then came the stones. The Vikings selected granite and gabbro with unusually high thermal capacity. These stones absorbed heat slowly from the hearth fire during the day and released it evenly through the night. The longhouse floor became a primitive thermal battery, charging while the fire burned, discharging gently while the family slept. Archaeology confirms this was deliberate. At Borgund in Norway, excavated stones showed clear signs of thermal shock from repeated heating and cooling. At Hedeby in Denmark, foundation stones were permanently stained deep red, the classic marker of long-term heat exposure. At Jorvik in England, researchers found ash beneath subfloor stones, evidence of heated rocks placed specifically to radiate warmth through the night. Above the stone and sand came organic fiber. Straw formed an insulation layer that slowed heat transfer and kept the floor soft underfoot. Reeds and rushes added moisture resistance, keeping the layers beneath dry even in the wettest months. In winter, families thickened this layer for a denser thermal blanket. In summer, they removed a portion to let the floor breathe. It was modular insulation, centuries before the concept had a name. The final layer was thin wooden planks. Not thick airtight boarding, but thin, flexible, breathable planking. Moist air could rise through the planks and escape rather than pool beneath them, keeping the organic layers dry and resistant to rot. The whole system working together. The floor worked as part of a complete thermal organism. The turf roof, 30 to 70 centimeters of earth and intertwined root systems, absorbed heat during the day and resisted freezing winds at night. The walls, built from slow-grown pine and spruce, held warmth in place, and the layered floor completed the circuit. The hearth heated the stones. The stones heated the floor. The floor released warmth into the lower air. The turf roof trapped that warm air and prevented it from escaping into the winter night. Even after the fire burned out at midnight, the house remained warm enough for the family to sleep in comfort. This was not coincidence. It was a passive heating engine powered by stone, wood, soil, and air. Where modern architecture gets it wrong. The most common floor in modern construction is a concrete slab. Concrete draws heat away from the body faster than stone or wood. It cannot breathe, it traps moisture, and that moisture breeds mold. In cold climates, this is a fundamental design mistake. Modern insulation focuses almost entirely on walls and ceilings, while ignoring the direction where the majority of winter heat loss actually occurs. The Vikings treated the ground as the primary threat. We treat it as an afterthought. What kept Viking families alive was not technology or abundant resources. It was the ability to see danger where others saw none, and to solve it with patience and a deep understanding of how nature actually behaves. Their floors, those humble layers of gravel, straw, and wood, prove that the most effective solutions are often the ones humanity figured out long before blueprints existed. The ground beneath a Viking longhouse was not a foundation, it was a machine. 1,000 years later, the physics has not changed by a single variable.